Welcome to Scrub and Bowties, the podcast presented by ABIPA in partnership with WRES. We are so glad that you all are joining us again today with Dr. Quinton Kinsell and Dr. Jonathan Edwards. Let's jump in because we're in November now, and just like we're thinking about December coming and all of the eating and all of the festivities, there's a smorgasbord of things that we could talk about. One, to recap, and then also to think about the future and the way that we're going to end up this year. So with that said, Dr. Q, can you just give us a recap for people that haven't been tuning in about the importance of the concepts that we're talking about men's health, erectile dysfunction, penile health, everything?
She said it. Yes. Thank you, Joanna, for this platform. We have covered a lot of ground this year, and I think most importantly, we talked about health checks and preventative health care, and we've covered a lot in men's health this year. So very, very happy to discuss prostate health, BPH, prostate cancer, erectile dysfunction, penile health, low testosterone. We've kind of talked about all of that. We talked about the health conditions that can lead to that, which we'll probably touch a little bit upon today when it comes to diabetes and hypertension.
Folks will always come to the good Dr. Cancel and ask for his urological expertise when it comes down to, hey, doc, why can't I get an erection? But it does come down to overall health, like we talked about earlier. Mm-hmm. Know your numbers.
Know your numbers,
yeah. Like, what's your hemoglobin A1C? How is your diabetes control?
Mm-hmm.
Talk to me about your cholesterol. Talk to me about those Newports. So we have covered a lot, thanks to you and ABIPA and the good folks here at WRES. We're getting the word out.
I think so. And why is it so important as well when we're thinking about it from men's health standpoint? Because a lot of times people don't think about, one, why men do or do not go to the doctor and or talk about their health. But why is it so important?
Well, I think as men, in general, we tend to be the providers or contribute to the family. And, we can't do our jobs if we're sick. We can't be there for our families if we have illnesses that prevent us from being there. And so, as men, we don't like to admit vulnerabilities, and we don't want to appear weak in some way. And so sometimes we let the wheels fall off before we actually go get help. And if you got anything from what we're talking about is, you can prevent a lot of this stuff by just getting checked, just going to the doctor, just getting your blood pressure checked, getting your PSA, getting your diabetes screenings. All these things can keep you in the game because a lot of us, we have our hustles. We work hard, we have side jobs, and if we're going to be productive as we can, we have to be healthy, and we need to value our health. And unfortunately, there's not enough conversation about men's health and why that's important, and that's why this broadcast is so important.
Well, the good Dr. Council touched on a very important topic, that topic being vulnerability. I'm sorry, y'all got big lips. They get in the way.
It's all good.
But it's about fear of the unknown. Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to look into something because something may be there, but you're not really aware. You're not aware about the different stages of prostate cancer. You're not aware about how long it takes to get vascular disease from your cigarette smoking or from your diabetes. You're not aware. So you just fear the worst. There's no need for that. Mm-hmm. I mean, you've got good folks like this man who wants to see you early and will explain to you what these numbers mean. An elevated PSA does not a cancer make.
Right.
I think he will agree with me on that. But when you don't understand the end game and you are vulnerable, at least in your own mind, then you build what? Your own barricade. So, once again, thank you, because we're here to break down walls, break down barriers, because we do help to provide. But we're not only providing for our families, folks got to live in order to build wealth. So I'm looking at folks who need to be around so their great grandkids are in good places. They're not going to see the fruits of their labor, but we got to live. And so let's not get in our own ways, men. Let's not get in the way of allowing folks who are concerned about your health care and can help navigate you through a very tangled healthcare environment not be there for you. Don't hinder us for coming to you to try and help you. Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense. And one of the things that I think about is in dealing with a lot of the men that have come through the prostate screenings and know your number screenings with a BIPA, there have been people that say they don't want to know. And what you don't know can kill you. And or that I'm going to die from something.
Yeah.
But what about the quality of life? And I think of that when I think of you two, is that prevention. And when does that start? And you don't wait until something is out of the gate to really start thinking about it. And that's why I think these conversations are really important, because it's not top of mind to many people until something goes wrong.
And we talked about that. It's not the reason why you do screenings is because a lot of these disease states aren't symptomatic. You won't have symptoms from it. So that's why you have to preempt that with a blood test or an exam.
Or blood pressure cuff.
Yeah, yeah, and a lot of people don't understand when we talk about prostate cancer, which is the number one non-dermatologic cancer that men die from, is something that does not always have to be treated. A lot of people don't realize that there are different grades to prostate cancer, and if you have, I saw a guy today, low-grade prostate cancer, low volume, so it's not aggressive, it won't become metastatic. It's not even clinically relevant. Guess what we do with him? We just follow him. We just check a blood test every 6 months, do an exam, because it's not going to hinder him in any way. And so knowing your numbers and knowing doesn't necessarily put you it puts you in control. You can now say, hey, I know I have this, and I know I'm on top of it, and it's not going to get the best of me because I'm being monitored and I know my numbers. But if you don't even look, then that's when stuff happens. And,
so let's recap. Let's recap the PSA numbers.
Yeah, so PSA, prostate-specific antigen, is a protein that is produced by your prostate gland. It is not a tumor marker, as you mentioned, but if elevated, and what elevated means, you're not going to give you a hard number because it differs for everybody depending how old you are. But generally speaking, your prostate should be your PSA should be fairly stable. When it starts to go up rapidly by 3/4 of a point in a year, that's considered abnormal velocity, PSA velocity. A lot of people, primary cares in particular, I'm not saying you, but a lot of people say that 4 number, if it's above 4, well, I've seen prostate cancer below 4. And so 4 is not a safe number, because if your PSA was 1 year and then it's 3 the next, you see what I'm saying?
Okay. Shift gears.
Yes.
Testosterone. Let's talk those numbers. Free and total.
Free, yeah. Free. You know what? This is my soapbox right here, because we talk about men not wanting to know. Well, a lot of men are suffering in silence because they don't know. They don't know why they're moody. They don't know why they don't have energy. They don't know why they don't have a sex drive. They don't know why they can't get it up. They don't know why they go to the gym and try to work out and not see the results, why they're gaining weight. They don't know. And that's why, for a lot of men, as you get older, your testosterone levels start to decline. There is, again, to recap, a general level, you know, a normal range is considered anywhere from like 300 to say 1,000.
And that's total?
That's total.
Can we talk free?
Free free testosterone is so what the total is a combination of what testosterone is free to bind to receptors and what is bound. Okay, and the free is actually your active testosterone levels. And if that level is below normal, then it actually, even if your testosterone level is normal, you're physiologically abnormal. So when you go get checked, and then another lab to consider is estradiol as well, because that can throw your testosterone off. Estradiol is estrogen, and we talked about all men have estrogen, just like all women have testosterone. We just have it in different levels.
Okay.
And if that level, in men who are more susceptible to higher estrogen levels are men who have adipose, that are obese.
I'm gonna shift the gears one more time.
Okay.
If you don't mind.
The beer bellies.
Well, we just reviewing, right?
Uh-huh.
So,
But no, but I think it's good.
is it normal to not be able to get an erection or have a sex drive at any age?
No, it is not. It is not actually a part of getting older, which is, thank you for asking that question. I have 70, 80-year-old men in my office that...
that is me.
I'm not saying any names.
Still in the game.
I'm not saying any names. But no, it's not. And that is a misconception that ED is just a part of getting older. ED is an accumulation of some issues that you've not been, getting checked most of the time. And again, we go back to knowing your numbers: hypertension, high cholesterol, diabetes. All these things can clog your arteries. And so if you were a young diabetic, let's say, and you just didn't take your health seriously because you're not feeling it and it's not bothering you right now, guess what? Your 30, 40-year-old self is going to feel that because you've not been, now you've had, 15, 20 years of plaque buildup in your arteries now. And that really can't be reversed. And so that's why it's so important. It is not a natural part of getting older, but it's a natural part of disease states.
That man good right there.
He's very good.
Man good right there.
I mean, it makes it real because you can connect the dots to different things. So it's not just one thing either, right?
Yeah.
So even if you're thinking about sickle cells, people may not even think about how sickle cell could actually affect men, because you're just thinking about the propensity of African Americans actually being diagnosed and what the traits are. But what's that next thing that people really need to know about? So that's what just really intrigues me about health and wellness and life in general, is that a lot of times we want to be able to pinpoint one thing, but there's so many things that are interconnected.
Yes.
In a way that we don't think about naturally.
Oh my goodness. And something that we've not talked about yet, but I think is an important thing to discuss when we talk about overall health is mental health. Is mental health.
Great
and
segue.
Well, it is part of it, but that's another taboo thing that we don't talk about. Getting help, talking about your problem. I am convinced that every Black man in America needs a therapist. There's just too much that we go through on a day-to-day basis. The epigenetics, the microaggressions, the whatever,
adverse
trauma,
child experiences.
Just the trauma of getting pulled over by a cop and not knowing if you're going to live through that encounter. All of that, the profiling, all of that wears on you. That's not normal stuff that we deal with. It's not. The racism, it's not. And so, brothers don't want to be vulnerable or get checked. No, it's the people that the most successful people have therapists, have people that they talk to.
Well, this is why I really thank Abippa and Joanna, because first of all, the conversations have to begin. The conversations have to begin, and they have to go beyond what we black men typically talk about. And I think I can say this on the radio, booty, and the game. That's it.
Yeah.
And so when we start talking as black men about our health, physical and mental, about our wealth, about our families, about our emotions, about our faith, about our political involvement, we will begin to rise. And it's got to start somewhere. And look at WRES providing a platform for us.
Because I feel like it's about information and inspiration. So what really brings you to the table in the first place? Where do we have the safe spaces where men can come together and talk and don't feel judged or don't feel emasculated? That's just really high priority for me as a supportive female of the men that are in my life and in my community. Just knowing how important you all are. And many times it goes unnoticed and unstated.
Say that.
And it is what it is. It's true. And so that's one of my soapboxes, because I will say it, and I've said it before, that I had a really good father. You know, and that's not the norm, or it is a norm, but we don't talk about it. So then there's that too, because we have what the media says and what reality is. Yes, we do have deadbeat dads, but we really have dedicated fathers as well.
Right.
That are unsung heroes, and it's not just because that's what you're supposed to do. Well, yeah, mothers are supposed to do what they do as well, but still, you still should recognize and lift people up. Everyone needs recognition and deserves that affirmation, and no one's perfect. And so, again, that's why I go back to even you all being open to these conversations, because I think they are so vital to start somewhere. As Dr. Jay was saying a minute ago, we have to start. So we know that there are a lot of problems, but then what are the solutions, and what are we willing to do?
Well, I mean, just that's a loaded question. I think, you know, we talked earlier before we came on about just preparing for this season, just right now, preparing for this holiday season.
Thanksgiving's coming up.
How
do you prepare your turkey?
Oh, I get down.
Are you deep fried? Are you smoking?
Well, if we're going to talk shop a little bit, last year I got all these props because I brined my turkey for the first time. And then I injected it. Then I lifted up the skin, smothered some butter underneath it. Then I put it in the green egg and just let it just.
You took it to the next
just
level.
Work. Yes. It was so good. It would slap your mama good. Yeah. So yeah.
But that's real talk, right? Because that's what people are thinking about right now.
That wasn't the most healthy.
No. Moderation, celebration.
Yes. The butter, yes. But no.
Hold on.
Look, hold up. He said, hold up.
So at this point, you know, we really. Thanksgiving, it is just that meal. All right. So you mentioned solutions. So Thanksgiving, let's say family. All right. Get up from the table and go for a walk with your family. There is no need to fall asleep on the Detroit game.
Well,
as you wait on the Cowboys.
Well,
it's true.
Usually it is the sweet potato pie and the mac and cheese that just gives you the itis. So I am asking my brothers and sisters of Western North Carolina to get up and walk up and down some of these hills. You will be okay. I'm not going to tell you how much to eat on Thanksgiving. It was just be the wrong time, because you know that auntie who is known for her sweet potato pie,
grandma,
and that auntie who's known for her mac and cheese is coming.
It's coming.
So be wise and get up from the table and go for a walk so you do not fall asleep on the Detroit game.
It's true.
We
And-
pregame a little bit. We walk. There's a turkey trot, and many communities have these where you
Asheville has
walk and run or whatever beforehand, and so that's kind of what we do. I've been forced to do that. My wife likes to.
Well, that's
run,
good. That's
so.
a good force.
It is.
Well, but you know, you mentioned holidays and mental health, and a number of folks, you know,
Aren't always happy.
or reminded of those who are no longer here there, or reminded of those relationships that may not be, you know, as strong as they like them. They, you know, they're reminded of, you know, issues, you know, with the family. So I encourage the men and women of Western North Carolina, as Dr. Consul has mentioned, to find someone to help counsel you and provide you with tools, because it's not only your blood sugar and your blood pressure and your cholesterol that we are concerned about at this time of year. We are concerned about your mental health, and we are encouraging the good folks to go out and talk to some folks, find some help.
Just to add to that, you know, we're still in COVID season, right? And flu season.
Oh, the flu's big.
The flu is huge.
Put
this
me
year.
out. Put me down for a week.
Yes, yeah. My kids, the whole half of the football team was out, and you know, a lot of us are celebrating, you know, maybe our first or second Thanksgiving without someone that passed from COVID or some other thing. And so
I'm encouraging
there's that
folks
part.
to get flu vaccinations if you haven't
That's-
been vaccinated.
Before you
against
gather,
COVID.
yes,
Before you gather,
before
yes.
you get together.
And wash your hands, people, please.
That's
what
a
your
good
big
one
mama
to
said. That's
say.
what your big mama said.
Like, look,
That's
still
what your big
watch,
mama
wait,
said.
and watch.
Long
Still,
time
right?
ago.
But
Don't let it go.
if you're gathering together, and most people aren't masked anymore, you know, definitely get your flu shot, get your COVID booster before you get on that plane, before you go travel. Particularly if you have older people in your family or people with immunocompromised systems, you definitely want to be responsible and look out for them.
Shawana, may I ask you a question?
Sure.
What do you think about us asking the folks of Western North Carolina what they might want to talk about?
I think that's a great idea, because as we think about the new year and what they've heard so far, what things really resonated with you, because you know you can catch us on www.abipa.org, on Facebook, whether it's WRES or ABIPA's Facebook page. Let us know that you're listening, because we hear it on the street. But then also some of the things that you're interested in us talking more about, because we do want to make sure that we are reflecting that which is needed, because we've started the conversation, but we want the conversation to keep going throughout 2023 and beyond.
And I think with that information, we can reach out to some of our colleagues in the area, in the southeastern part of the United States, or anywhere, to help address issues within the African American community as it pertains to health. And when I say health, you cannot separate that mind, body, and spirit.
Not at all.
And so I'm glad that you invited these good folks to give us some direction, some lead.
And the fact of the matter is, we do have a number of black physicians in Asheville that we would love to come on this program. And so if there's a question that you have that we can find the expertise to come in and talk about it. So we encourage any questions that you guys have to make that known, so that we can provide relevant content that will positively impact your quality of life.
And I've let these two good people know that I really want to talk about the violence in our community and the bullets that are killing our sons and our daughters. And, if there are folks out in the sound of our voices in Western North Carolina that can help us, please reach out to ABIPA, please reach out to My Brookhaven Health, please reach out to Dr. Consul and his office. If not us, then who?
Ooh.
Absolutely.
And that's right. And health doesn't start when you're in your 20s, 30s, 50s. It starts in adolescence. And so how do we really start having those conversations?
Starts in that womb.
At the womb,
Starts,
that's
yeah.
right. It starts in the womb.
Starts in
And
that
so how do
womb.
we do that intentionally, even when we know that people are of childbearing age or child fertilization age? Right? So how do we even start there
Yeah.
with all of this so that we can preempt some of the things that our generations have had to endure? That's another one of the things that I'm really interested in is how do we spread it generationally? Because there's a certain time that people start listening
Yep.
or we start talking. But how do we make it the norm to start talking early?
Well, we got to give them the platform because we need to hear from young and old, and we have to let them know that they're being heard. And it's amazing when you let somebody know that they're being heard, what they begin to tell you.
Okay, so gentlemen, it sounds like it's time to wrap it up. Look, figuratively. I got you. But anyway, so what are we going to leave our listeners with as we go and think about things to come? But really, what's your last word for everyone in this session?
Love.
I would say resource. And the reason behind that is we want to be a resource for the community when it comes to health awareness and healthcare and prevention and all of that. So, yeah, resource.
Resource. Okay, so that's where we're leaving it today. Love and resource. And we're going to do it together because we're better together. So thank you again for joining us for the Scrubs and the Bowties. Again, the podcast presented by ABIPA and WRES. And we just are so thankful for Dr. Cancel and Dr. J. That's what I call him.
Shameless plug for the Q's. November 17th.
Yo.
Look, the Q and the Q for
And
being
the
here
capital.
and really expanding the conversation about men's health generally and figuratively. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.